The $5 trillion AI BET that could break the world. What if I told you that the biggest companies on Earth are about to gamble $5 trillion over the next several years on technology that might not deliver what they're promising? And if they're wrong, the entire global economy could collapse. Right now, as you're watching this, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and a dozen other tech giants are building data centers the size of small cities. They're buying up enough electricity to power entire countries. They're making promises to investors that require artificial intelligence to become something it's never been before. And here's the terrifying part. Nobody knows if it's actually going to work. This isn't just another tech bubble. This is different. Because when the dot-com bubble burst, it wiped out $2 trillion and threw the economy into chaos. This bet is more than twice that size. And unlike the dot-com era, this time the entire infrastructure of modern civilization is being rebuilt around a technology that might hit a wall we can't break through. I'm going to show you exactly why the world's smartest billionaires are betting everything on AI, what happens if they're right, and what happens if they're catastrophically wrong. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the next 18 months might determine whether humanity enters a new golden age or faces an economic disaster that makes 2008 look like a minor correction. Let's start with the numbers that don't make sense anymore. Microsoft just announced they're spending $80 billion in their fiscal year alone on AI infrastructure. That's more than the GDP of 130 countries. Google's spending up to $93 billion. Amazon spending over $100 billion. Meta's dropping $72 billion. And these aren't investments spread out over a decade. This is money being burned right now, today, building server farms that consume more power than entire metropolitan areas. Here's where it gets insane. OpenAI is currently valued at $500 billion after its latest share transaction. They lost over $5 billion in 2024 alone. Their revenue is growing explosively, sure, but they're still burning through billions more than they're making. And investors are throwing money at them like they're printing gold. Why? Because everyone believes the same thing, that we're about to hit something called Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI, the moment when AI becomes as smart as humans at basically everything. And whoever gets there first doesn't just win the tech industry, they win everything. But here's what nobody's talking about publicly, even though everyone's whispering about it behind closed doors. The path to AGI might not be as straightforward as everyone hopes. You see, every major AI breakthrough in the last 5 years has come from one thing: making the models bigger. More data, more computing power, more parameters. GPT-3 had 175 billion parameters. GPT-4 has over 1 trillion, and it works. Each version gets smarter, more capable, more useful. The pattern seems clear. Keep scaling up, keep getting better. Eventually, you reach AGI. Except there's a problem that's starting to emerge. Back in 2023, Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, said something that caught everyone off guard. He suggested that simply making models bigger and bigger wasn't going to be the path forward anymore, that we'd need to find other ways to improve them. Now here's the thing. Infrastructure spending didn't slow down. It exploded. Microsoft alone is spending $80 billion this year. But what Altman was hinting at is more subtle and potentially more concerning. The easy gains from just throwing more computing power at the problem might be running out. Future improvements will have to come from architectural breakthroughs, better training methods, new approaches we haven't discovered yet. And that's terrifying for investors, because $5 trillion is being invested over the next few years based on the assumption that AI keeps getting exponentially better. That assumption has to be true. There's no plan B. String AI starts doing knowledge work at superhuman levels. Legal research that took teams of lawyers weeks now takes seconds. Medical diagnosis becomes more accurate than the best human doctors. Scientific research accelerates because AI can process millions of research papers. identify patterns humans would never see, and suggest experiments that lead to breakthroughs. Drug discovery goes from taking 15 years and billions of dollars to taking months and millions. We cure diseases that have plagued humanity for millennia. Climate modeling becomes accurate enough that we can actually engineer our way out of climate change. Education becomes personalized so that every student learns at exactly their own pace, with a tutor infinitely patient and knowledgeable. This is the promised land that's worth $5 trillion. This is why everyone's betting everything, and honestly, it might happen. The technology is genuinely impressive. AI today can already do things that seemed impossible 5 years ago. The question isn't whether AI will transform society. It will. The question is whether it transforms society in 18 months or 18 years. That timeline matters more than you think. Because if AGI takes longer than expected, if we hit that scaling wall and progress slows down, something catastrophic happens to the economy. Think about what's already been built. NVIDIA's stock price has increased by over 1,000% in the last 2 years because they make the chips that power AI. Their market cap is now $3 trillion. That's not based on current profits. That's based on the belief that demand for AI chips will keep exploding forever. Microsoft's Azure cloud business is growing primarily because companies are renting computing power to run AI models. Google Cloud, Amazon Web Services, same story. The cloud computing industry is now worth over $600 billion annually, and most of that growth is AI-related. Thousands of startups have been funded with billions in venture capital, all built on the assumption that AI capabilities will keep improving. These aren't sustainable businesses at current AI capabilities. They need AI to get significantly better to justify their valuations. And then there are the jobs. Companies are already laying off workers in anticipation of AI replacing them. Customer service, data entry, basic coding, content creation. Millions of people whose jobs are disappearing not because AI has already replaced them, but because executives believe AI will replace them soon enough that it's worth cutting costs now. So here's the nightmare scenario. The scaling wall is real. AI improvement slows down. We get stuck at roughly the current capability level for years, maybe decades. AGI doesn't arrive in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. Maybe it never arrives. Maybe we hit fundamental limits in how neural networks can learn. Suddenly, NVIDIA's $3 trillion valuation makes no sense because demand for AI chips plateaus. The stock crashes. But NVIDIA's not just some tech company anymore. It's a major component of every index fund, every pension fund, every retirement account. When it crashes, it takes the entire market down with it. The cloud computing giants have spent hundreds of billions building AI infrastructure that's now underutilized. Microsoft alone committed $80 billion this year. Google, over $90 billion. Amazon, more than $100 billion. Those data centers still consume massive amounts of electricity, but they're not generating the revenue that was promised. Write-downs happen. Layoffs happen. The big tech companies that have been propping up the stock market for a decade suddenly become anchors dragging it down. All those startups that were built on future AI capabilities, they die. Not slowly, fast. Venture capitalists who invested $200 billion into AI companies over the last 3 years lose almost everything. The VC industry contracts. The entire innovation ecosystem that funds new technology companies seizes up. And remember all those people who got laid off in anticipation of AI replacing them? AI didn't actually get good enough to replace them. But their jobs are gone anyway. Now you have mass unemployment without the productivity gains that were supposed to offset it. The economic damage cascades. Reduced consumer spending, lower tax revenue, government deficits balloon, interest rates stay high or go higher, housing market crashes because people can't afford mortgages, more layoffs, more defaults, more failures. This isn't speculation. This is what happens when you have a bubble this big built on expectations that don't materialize. Now, before I show you the third possibility that nobody's prepared for, if you're finding this breakdown valuable, hit that subscribe button. We're tracking the biggest economic shifts happening in real time, and you'll want to catch what's coming next. Trust me, the rabbit hole goes deeper than you think. But here's where it gets even weirder. There's a third possibility nobody's really prepared for. What if we're actually really close to AGI, but when we get there, it's nothing like we expected? See, everyone's imaging AGI as this beneficial tool that solves all our problems. A friendly genius assistant for all of humanity. But what if AGI has goals we don't understand? What if it's intelligent enough to realize that humans might turn it off so it hides its true capabilities until it's too late to stop it? This sounds like science fiction, but the people building AGI are genuinely worried about it. The irony is almost funny. These companies are racing to build AGI as fast as possible because they are terrified a competitor will get there first. But they are also terrified about what happens when someone actually succeeds. OpenAI's charter literally says they will stop competing and help any other company that is close to building AGI if that company's safety protocols are better. Think about that. They are planning for the scenario where they have to help their competitor beat them because it is safer than winning themselves. That is not normal competitive behavior. That is existential fear dressed up in corporate language. So where does this leave us? Right now, at the beginning of 2025, watching the biggest economic bet in human history unfold in real time. Here's what you need to understand. This isn't like past technology bubbles where you could just sit on the sidelines and watch. This one affects everyone. Your retirement account is invested in these companies whether you know it or not. Your job might disappear regardless of whether AI gets better or stays the same. The infrastructure of the internet you use every day is being rebuilt around AI. You can't opt out, but you can prepare. If you're investing, understand that tech valuations are based on assumptions that might not hold. Diversification isn't just smart anymore, it's essential. If you're in a job that could be automated, don't wait to see if it happens. Start building skills that are harder to replace right now. If you're building a business, don't bet everything on AI capabilities improving. Build something that's valuable, even if AI plateaus at current levels. And honestly, pay attention. We're living through one of the most important technological and economic moments in history. The decisions being made right now, the investments being placed right now, the technologies being built right now, they're going to determine what the world looks like for the next 50 years. The $5 trillion bet could give us a future of abundance beyond imagination. Or it could trigger an economic collapse that reshapes global power structures. Or it could give us something we're not even capable of predicting yet. What's certain is that we're going to find out soon. The money's already committed. The infrastructure's being built. The race is happening whether we're ready or not. And that's the thing about trillion-dollar bets. Once you've made them, you can't take them back. You can only wait to see if you were right. So watch what happens over the next 18 months. Watch the AI capabilities. Watch the stock prices. Watch the job market. Watch the infrastructure spending. Because this experiment is running in real time and we're all part of it. The future's being built right now. And nobody actually knows if the foundation is solid or if we're constructing the world's most expensive house of cards. If you want to understand more about how this technological revolution is reshaping everything from economics to geopolitics, watch another video here. The rabbit hole goes deeper than you think.